A lonely wind whispers through cracked windows and empty streets. Jacksonville, Oregon, once a town of dreams, laughter, and gold dust. Now, only echoes remain. The sun burns softly over forgotten rooftops, casting long shadows across dirt roads that once echoed with the wheels of miners' wagons. In the 1850s, Jacksonville thrived. Gold had been discovered in the nearby hills, and with it came fortune seekers from every corner of America. Rugged men, hopeful women, and families chasing their chance at wealth. The saloons were alive. The sound of hammering filled the air, and the promise of gold gave life to every corner of this small Oregon town. But time, like the river that once carried their hopes, moved on. By the late 1930s, the mines had dried up, the gold veins ran empty, and Jacksonville became little more than a skeleton of its former glory. 3 shops stood open, their owners stubborn against change, while the rest of Main Street slept under dust and silence. The once proud Beekman Bank, its vault sealed and its walls aging with the ghost of fortune, sat like a monument to the greed and hope of men long gone. The townsfolk rarely spoke of it. For them, the Beekman was a tomb of forgotten wealth, a relic of a golden era that ended in silence. But one summer afternoon, 3 boys, Robert and Edward Lewis, and their friend Arthur Jefferson, would stumble upon a secret that would awaken the spirit of the ghost town once more. The sun blazed high, cicadas singing their endless tune as the boys roamed through the empty town like explorers of ruins. Their laughter echoed through cracked wooden halls and broken windows, filling the air where silence had reigned for years. "But you won't go inside the Beekman Bank," Arthur shouted, eyes wide with mischief. Robert hesitated. "That old place? There's nothing in there but dust and rats." "Then let's prove it," Edward said, his grin daring and wild. And with that, they ran toward the building that had watched over Jacksonville for half a century, its secrets buried under time and dust. What they found inside would change their lives, and the fate of the ghost town forever. The Beekman Bank stood at the end of California Street, its faded brick walls cracked with age, the iron lettering on its sign rusted and barely legible. The boys crept to the back, hearts pounding with excitement and a little fear. The back door groaned as Robert pushed it open. The air inside was heavy, thick with dust and memory. It smelled of paper, metal, and something ancient. Light filtered through broken blinds, casting pale stripes across the wooden floor. They stepped inside slowly, their sneakers crunching over old papers and debris. A large oak desk sat near the front, still holding stacks of yellowed envelopes and ledgers. The walls were lined with shelves, and behind the counter stood the old vault door, its circular face still gleaming faintly beneath layers of grime. "Looks like someone left in a hurry," Arthur whispered, brushing his hand across the desk. Robert picked up one of the envelopes. It was thick, far too heavy for old paper. His eyes narrowed as he tore it open. Gold coins spilled into his palm. For a moment, no one breathed. The coins gleamed like sunlight trapped in metal, their surfaces untouched by time. "Gold," Edward murmured, his voice trembling. "There's more," Robert said, reaching for another envelope. And another. Each was stuffed with gold and silver coins, their edges cool and sharp. The boys stared at the pile growing on the desk. Small fortunes stacked in careless bundles. They had found forgotten wealth of the Beekman Bank, abandoned when the miners left, and the bank closed its doors forever. Laughter broke the silence, nervous and wild. "We're rich," Arthur shouted. "Do you know what we can do with this?" "Candy, ice cream, maybe bicycles," Edward said, eyes wide with wonder. Robert smiled, but deep down, something felt strange. The silence of the room, the weight of the gold, the shadows dancing on the walls. It felt as though the town itself was watching them. Yet excitement drowned out doubt. The boys filled an old bank sack with coins until it bulged. They would hide some, spend a little, and bury the rest, their secret, their adventure. The Beekman Bank, silent for 30 years, had just witnessed its first theft since the gold rush end. Dead. The sun dipped low behind the hills, painting Jacksonville in shades of orange and gold. The boys ran home, breathless, their secret sack of coins hidden beneath an old blanket. That night, they gathered in the Lewis brothers' backyard under a flickering lantern. The coins glimmered in the dim light like fallen stars. Robert spoke first. "We'll each take 2 handfuls to hide inside the bank. Then we bury the rest here in our yard." Arthur nodded eagerly. "And we keep 3 silver dollars, 1 for each of our moms. That'll keep them from asking questions." Edward smiled nervously. "You think we should tell anyone?" "No way." Robert said firmly. "This is ours. No one will ever know." The next morning, they carried out their plan. They sneaked back to the bank and carefully hid 6 handfuls of coins, some behind the counter, others beneath loose floorboards and under the vault platform. Their small hands worked fast, hearts racing. By afternoon, they buried the rest of the money in the Lewis backyard, under the shade of an old oak tree. The earth was dry, the shovel heavy, but they worked at the focus of men twice their age. When the last clump of dirt fell, they stood back, sweaty and triumphant. "Promise we never tell," Arthur said. "Promise," Robert replied. They sealed the pact with 3 silver dollars, each handed proudly to their mothers that evening. But innocence rarely stays hidden for long. The mothers, confused and alarmed by the sudden appearance of shining silver coins, exchanged glances. Something was wrong. By the next day, the boys stood trembling before the town mar. Sure. Marshal Henry Dugan was a man of few words and sharp eyes. His uniform was faded, but his authority was not. He leaned back in his chair, studying the 3 boys as they squirmed before him. "So," he said slowly, "you just found silver dollars lying in the dirt?" Arthur swallowed hard. We found them near the bank." The marshal's brow furrowed. "The Beekman Bank? That building's been closed for 30 years. He stood, his boots creaking on the wooden floor, and walked around them like a wolf circling prey. "You didn't go inside, did you?" The silence told him everything. His voice hardened. "Listen here, boys. That bank's property of the county now. You can't just go digging around in there. If there's anything left inside, it belongs to the town." Tears welled in Edward's eyes. Robert clenched his fists. Arthur stammered, "We didn't mean no harm, sir. We just found some coins, that's all." The marshal's tone softened slightly. "You're good boys, but good boys can make bad mistakes. I want you to tell me everything. Where you found it, how much, who took what." And so they did. Every word spilled out. The discovery, the envelopes, the hiding, the buried gold. But in their fear, they left out one detail. The 6 handfuls of coins still hidden inside the bank. The marshal sighed, rubbing his temples. "All right, you boys go home. I'll take care of this." But the marshal never went to the Beekman Bank that day. Some say he dismissed it as a childish fantasy. Others believe he meant to return later, perhaps to see for himself if gold still slept behind its dusty walls. Either way, the boys never set foot in that building again. And years passed. Jacksonville grew quieter still. The mine stayed empty. The shops closed one by one, and by the time the war came and went, the ghost town was nearly forgotten. The 3 boys grew into men. Robert Lewis became a carpenter. Edward moved to California to work in shipyards. Arthur joined the railroad and traveled across the country. Life scattered them like dust in the wind. Yet in quiet moments, each one remembered that summer, the glint of gold in the dim light, the sound of coins spilling like rain. They remembered the oath, the excitement, and the fear. Robert sometimes dreamed of the bank, of walking through its silent halls, of sunlight falling on piles of gold untouched for decades. He'd wake before dawn, heart racing, wondering if anyone had ever found their secret. But no one did. The Beekman Bank remained sealed in dust and memory, its wooden floorboards hiding what 3 young boys had left behind. 6 handfuls of gold coins that never saw the light of day again. Today, Jacksonville stands preserved, not alive, not dead. The state of Oregon turned the town into a historic landmark, restoring its old buildings, including the Beekman Bank. Visitors walk through its halls, peering at ledgers, vault doors, and counters, unaware that somewhere beneath their feet, a secret sleeps. Some say the treasure was found long ago by workers restoring the building in the 1960s. Others whisper that the gold still lies hidden, behind a wall, beneath the floor, waiting for curious hands to rediscover it. Each year, treasure hunters visit Jacksonville with metal detectors and old maps drawn by the legend of the boy's gold. Some dig in backyards, others in the hills, but no one has ever found the buried fortune. Standing on Main Street today, you can almost hear their laughter echoing to the empty town. 3 boys chasing adventure, caught between innocence and greed, between the past and the promise of gold. And as the wind stirs the dust through Beekman Bank's cracked door, one might wonder, is the treasure still there, gleaming quietly beneath the floorboards? Or did it vanish like the town itself? Carried away by time and the dreams of those who once called Jacksonville home, the truth lies buried, somewhere between history and legend, waiting for someone brave enough to listen to the whispers of the ghost town once more.